So we don't people don't know what exactly they're celebrating, what they're worshiping. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying that. Well, to tell you the truth, they say if it wasn't for the Indians, white people would have starved. They would have starved to death when they first come over here. They said the Indians is the one taught them how to grow food.
The crops. Yep, that's true.
So they would have starved if it wasn't for the Indians. Then they turn around and kill them.
Those are facts. I have a those are facts. You know what I'm saying? But those are things that, of course, they're not going to want to put in the education system.
No, they're not going to do that.
Those are things that they're not going to want to. Exactly. Why? Because it makes people look. It makes them look bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they want us to forgive and forget.
Right.
But what was done was evil. And it was evil, and it's evil in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord never forgets. You know what I'm saying? He knows what happened to His people.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna have to answer to that.
So we come under the Judah tribe.
Yes.
Black people.
Right. Yep. And thought I had it, but I don't. But yeah, so. This is the breakdown of all the different tribes. You know what I'm saying? Judah being the lead tribe. It says that in the last days. I know you're probably in a rush there. Let me go ahead and go ahead. This is all right. So this is Genesis chapter 49, and I'll just from the child says, and Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Right? So it's telling, gather together so I can tell you what's going to happen. Right?
Right.
This is verse 10. It says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. What does the scepter mean? The scepter represents the leader. You know what I'm saying? The scepter, right? It says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. And him shall the gathering of the people be. So the tribe of Judah is what's going to bring the people together. The tribe of Judah is going to be the primary people to go out and compel the other nations, into this truth and teaching them who they are. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Judah is the head and lead tribe of all the other nations. Our Savior, who the world calls Jesus, his name is Yahushua, by the way, but he also came from the tribe of Judah in Hebrews 7 and 14.
Now the Haitians, they come under Levi, you say?
Yes, the Haitians are the Levites, and it's all based on the lineage of your father, right? So, like my dad is a so-called black person, right? And then my mom is a Puerto Rican, but because we come from the lineage of our forefathers, this is what I am, regardless of what I mix with.
Right. If your father's black, you're black.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, but at the same time, so the nation of Israel, we were scattered throughout all the entire world, right? So it's just not these people that are on this side, right? However, they're this. That's their tribe, but they may not necessarily be Puerto Ricans. They could be over there in Italy or Ireland, Africa or China. You know what I'm saying? But these are what we know as of who they are on this side of the hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? We're scattered throughout, and we're so scattered that they may in fact look like the nations that they were scattered to. So there are Israelites that are in China who look, Chinese. You know what I'm saying? There are, because this isn't a white or black thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because this goes back to the lineage of our forefathers, right? So, people say, this is you're a hate group, you hate certain race of people. That's not what that is. We're just identifying via the Spirit and through the truth of the Bible who people actually are, who we are, right? So, like, say for instance, if say you had let's just say a Chinese wife, right? Let's just say, or let's just say let's say I had a Chinese wife, and I had a kid with her, right? But then my kid, which is a boy, went and got him a Chinese girl and just stayed in that region, right? For 100 years. Over time, or 200 years, over time, that child, that seed is going to eventually start looking like the nation that they're in, right? But in all actuality, because they come from me and my seed, that still makes them from the tribe of Judah. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's not just a carnal.
You're right. You're right about that now.
It's not a carnal thing, you know, because people tend to be very carnal and say, oh, you know, that person's white, I don't like him. But it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that because there's no telling where that person's lineage comes from.
You're right. You're right about that now. And like I said, I know back during slavery time, they raped our women, had all kind of babies.
Yep, that's very true.
You know,
that's very true. But the only people that are going to receive this, okay, are those who are ordained to receive this. You know what I'm saying? Because you know you're going to have people who look like you or myself, right? But their seed goes back to someone outside of these nations. You know what I mean? But they look just like us. But you'd be like, oh, well, you
just like the Indian people from India. Right. Some of them look just like us.
Some of them look just like us, but in fact.
So what the people from India, where do they fall at?
They're not on here, but they're from Elam. They're from
Elam.
Elam. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 18 nations in the entire Bible.
Now what's the West Indies? What's that?
So those are like your Caribbeans, people the Caribbeans, the Jamaicans, the St. Croix, you know, the Barbados, things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where West Indians, those are the tribal cultures.
Now I know you heard of Australia.
Australia, yep.
Who is those dark-skinned looking people? They look like
the Aborigines or something like that.
I think that's who they are.
They're Japhites. So Japheth. You know Noah had.
They look like Indians.
Right. So you know Noah, right? Had 3 sons, right?
Okay.
He had Shem or Japheth, Shem, and Ham, right?
Right.
So let me get something. So Japheth he's the progenitor or the forefather of a whole complete different nation, right? We come from the lineage of Shem, okay? And from Jacob, which is the forefather or progenitor of these nations, come out of the seed of Shem, right? And then Ham is the progenitor or the forefather for the African nations there today.
Abraham.
Ham.
Ham.
So look, let me once again, this is the Bible, the Compact Bible Dictionary. Let's find Ham.
They were showing on the TV how they discriminated against some people over there in Australia because their skin was dark.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. And that's everywhere you go. You know, it's happening here. You know, in America, it's happening in Israel over there today. You know, but look, this is Ham, right? It says the youngest of the son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and of 1/8 persons to live through the flood, because they had wives, right? And then you had Noah and his wife. It says he became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites, right? It says his indecency when his father lay drunken brought curse upon Canaan. Canaan are those, so these nations here, Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites are with Africa who they are today. You know, but those are the nations that they originate where they come from. You know, but it says he's the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Well, I thought we was all African, right? That's what they say, right? We all African because we came from Africa, right? Mm-hmm. But let me get this other book for you, man.
Okay.
This is not it.
I tell you, you got your bag up. I tell you that.
Of course. And this is this is what the scripture says. Study to show thyself approved.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So this is from Babylon to Timbuktu, right? So these people are the true Jews, right? That the Bible speaks of.
Okay.
We're the true Jews. Okay. Contrary to popular belief.
Okay.
All right. We'll get So this is out of the book, page 83. It says, the army of Antiochus marched into Palestine to support Menelaus, the leader of the pro-Syrian party. As a result, many Jews were killed. Others escaped to the hills and to Egypt. Only those Jews that supported Antiochus' policies remained in Jerusalem. So those people who conformed to their way and their lifestyle, they stayed, all right? It says, an edict was promulgated interdicting the observance of the holidays, the Sabbaths, and the circumcision. A statue of Jupiter was erected in the holy temple above the altar. To his statue, to the people that brought sacrifices of pig meat, which is contrary to what we're supposed to eat. We're not supposed to eat pig, the animal which is an abomination to the Jews. Because of this religion or religious persecution, the legitimate high priest, Ananias III, had many other Jews fled into African countries, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, and Libya. Throughout the last 2,500 years, the main factors that have contributed to the social migration of the Jews were wars, religious persecution, and commerce. All these factors were operating and gave rise to the African Jewish population, right? This is the point right here in pink. It says in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. So they came in and pretty much wrecked shop. They came in and destroyed the place, right? It says during this period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. Slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. And that's why when we were brought over here, that's why they didn't call us Africans. That's why they put this title on us.
Negroes.
Yes, they put that title on us, okay, because they knew we weren't African, right?
Right.
It says, this is Deuteronomy 24:68. It says, this prophecy and all the residue of the prophecies contained Deuteronomy 15 through 68 befell the black Jews after they disobeyed the laws of God. Many nations transported the Jews into slavery, and the sons of Israel transmigrated to every continent.
I heard that, man. Well, let me ask you this. Do you give any kind of seminar around town or anything like that?
I don't. This is to the extent that I do. Yeah, I come out here and this is the commandment that was.
Well, you should though, man. You should. I mean, if it's all possible.
Yeah.
Because our people are in the dark, man.
Of course.
Our people are in the dark. Some of them don't want to know anything about knowledge.
They have the zeal, but they don't want to, pursue, entirely. You know what I'm saying? But look, this is Romans 11:7. It says, "What then? Israel hath not obtained which thou seekest for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded." So the Most High put a he blinded the other people, right? Or his people. Right. It says, according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear unto this day. So our people are not everybody is going to receive this truth. Not everybody is going to be willing to hear or listen.
Right.
So
now, which your Wayne's name was now?
Right there.
Okay, I can go on
YouTube.
I can Google. I can Google it.
Yeah.
YouTube, either one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you live around here?
I do. I live in Warrington.
In Warrington?
Yeah. But I come out here as often as I can. To try to teach. And edify. But people walk by constantly on a day-to-day basis, or and they see me, they be like, "Oh, that dude is crazy," But hey, this is what's
the truth, man. It's the truth, man.
It is the truth.
And I gotta get them other books too.
Yeah.
You told me Apocrypha. Book of Apocrypha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's 14 in 14 missing books.
Well, let me ask you this here. What day do you see as the Sabbath day? I mean, you know.
Today.
Saturday?
No. Not just Saturdays, but today in particular. Reason being is because where does the word month come from? Are you aware?
No.
The word month comes from the word moon, right? Because if you look at the sun doesn't change its form, right? The sun gives you the time of day it is. Right. The sun gives you the time of the time it is. The moon gives you the exact gives you a weekly update because the different shapes that it kind of goes through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me show you. There's this app. It's called Phases of the Moon. Right? Sorry, let me brighten it up a little bit.
Phases of the moon.
So this is Phases of the Moon, right? So let's go back. So the new moon, right? The new moon is the beginning of a new month, right? When it's completely dark, right? And then it goes in phases. You see the different phases, right? So whenever the new moon is, that following week, right? Let's click this, that day, right? First quarter, right? So that's going to be your next Sabbath, right? So it's in your full moon, okay? And then it goes all the way up until the next new moon, and then you go in that order, you know what I'm saying? But the order that it goes in is from new to first quarter to full, and then to last quarter. Does it make sense? So that's where the different months come in. So it's always based on the new moon. It's how you determine your Sabbath days. Now here in the scripture, now this is in Ecclesiasticus. This is coming from the Apostle, right? So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 43. It says, "He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon it is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The moon is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven." Right? So when it goes through the different phases and the different changes, that's how you're to determine, the moon or the Sabbath, really. Genesis 1:14, it says, "And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser to rule the night. He made the stars also." Right? So he uses the heavens, he uses the stars, the moon, the sun to determine the time. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the Sabbath also comes in on. There's other scriptures that go into how to determine the Sabbath, but that's pretty much like the main thing.
So the Sabbath is different days.
It is different days. So it's the same day for an entire month, right? But then it shifts, okay? Because it's always based on whenever the new moon. So it kind of shifts to the right, gradually.
So it can be any day of the week just about sometime.
Oh, absolutely. But when we were brought here via slavery, they made us to believe that Sunday was the Sabbath day.
Yeah.
A
lot of people saying that Saturday is the Sabbath day because Sunday is the first day of the week, they saying.
Oh, no.
They're trying to say Sunday is the first day of the week.
No, that's completely false. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. It says, "And he shall," it's talking about the horns, right? The 10 horns and the kingdoms that has done this, right? It says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws." Right? He changed the times, okay? Because where they say this society says that the time starts at midnight, or the day starts at midnight, which is in in the middle of the night. But the time actually, the new day actually starts when the sun sets. When the sun sets, is the start of a new day, and that's when you start your Sabbath day. So the Sabbath started last night, right, at 7 p.m. when the sun actually set. So at 7 p.m. until 7 p.m. tonight is the Sabbath. So there's no buying, no selling, no cooking, no kind of labor. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that we're supposed to uphold, you know, on the Sabbath.
What they going by when people are talking about, they talking about the seventh day he rested. They going by, they trying to say Sunday was the first day of the week. That's what they trying to say. And they say the seventh day he rested. If they going by Sunday, that would be Saturday.
I see what you're saying. But no,
But like you said, that could be inaccurate, like you said.
Exactly. Because, you know, the Most High doesn't see time the way we do. You know, 1,000 years to us is just a day to him.
That's right. You're
You
right
know
about
what I'm saying?
that.
So if it, you know, if it said that in the first day he did this, what does that mean? For us, that's like 1,000 years. But to the Most High, that's only day one.
Yeah, you're right.
So then what? So where does that Saturday, Sunday thing come about? Like those days weren't created until I want to say like 300 and something AD. You know, the Council of Nicaea. If you'll ever look up the Council of Nicaea, they went in and pretty much declared like these days to be the Sabbath, and declared like, you know,
Council of what now?
Nicaea, Nicea, I believe.
Okay, Nicaea.
Yeah, something like that. But if you go in and, you know, and they changed like the Gregorian calendar. You know, we're using the correct Gregorian calendar, which is off. What's the other calendar? Gregorian, and then you got I forget the other one. But yeah, so our calendar is really based on the moon and the different cycles and phases of the moon. That's our calendar that we should be abiding by. That's what we should be going by. Because the Sabbath is the seventh day. So after that is the start of a new week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not just Sunday, Monday, whatever the case.
So you showed me some shots of the moon. In a month's time, the moon go through just about all those shots. Just about.
Yep, it's perfect timing because everything is perfect with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? It goes through what's the completion? It's 360 degrees, right? So it's like it's got to go through from having not being able to see it at all to going full and then going all the way back over again. All the different phases it hits, and then that's how you determine. That's how it's perfect. You know, in His eyes, it's perfect. That's why this is the way it should be. You know.
I heard that.
So yeah, like this is what I mean. These are the type of, you know, topics that, you know, that I go into as far as teaching. You know, I break down, you know, the scriptures, you know, to my knowledge, you know, to the best of my abilities, the way that I know how. You know, some people obviously, you know, aren't going to have the same understanding, or they won't believe what, you know, because a lot of people who go to church are indoctrinated in that philosophy.
Do you ever go to any of these churches right now?
Absolutely not, because they don't teach what in its true context. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, it wasn't until the Most High revealed it to me, and to identify who I am as a person, right? Who am I? You know, I'm from the tribe of Judah. Well, our Savior is also from the tribe of Judah. He's our big brother. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, in knowing who we are, there's certain requirements that we have to do. In the church, they teach that the laws are done away with. Well, according to, what is sin? What's the definition of sin? Sin is the transgression of the law. So, if how do you know if you're in the midst of sin if you don't even know what the law says about sin? You know what I mean? If you're constantly praying and repenting of your sins, that means you have a knowledge or an understanding of what the law is, meaning you're trying to live according to the law, right? It says that it's easier for heaven and earth to pass away than from one tittle to be removed or taken away from the law. Heaven and earth is still here, right?
Right.
So it said it's easier for heaven and earth to be passed away than for one thing to be removed out of the law. Meaning the law still exists. You know, they don't teach the law. You know, they don't go into prophecy. You know, things that are going to happen in the future.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is all coming out of the scripture. It says that you should desire to prophesy.
Right.
You know, you should desire to prophesy. And these are the things that I do. You know what I'm saying? I go in, I align things that are going on in the world. You know, via the news. You know, all these different avenues, and I align them with what's going on in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you can tie in to how prophecy is starting to come about. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's a lot.
There's a lot going on there. And like I say, now, I mean, I don't mean to try to talk no politics with you, but Donald Trump, he's trying to take this country back to Jim Crow, if he's allowed. But how far do you think he's gonna get? You know what he mean by make America great again? He wants to take away our civil rights.
Yeah,
America.
So, when was America ever great? That's the real question for us. You know, for us, when was it ever great?
Never.
So that's my personal. That's how I see that. That whole mindset, that whole philosophy. Let's make America great again. Well, you know, my people are still suffering. You know what I'm saying? You know, certain class of people are reaping the benefits of their forefathers.
Right.
Whereas, you know, we're still suffering. You know, the repercussions and consequences. You know, of our forefathers.
Right.
But that's
right.
because we turn from the Most High. That's because the Most High is the one who's putting us in the position, in the conditions that we're in.
Right.
Up until we come back to serving Him.
Right.
You know, this is look, if you go into reading the whole chapter of Deuteronomy 28, right? It says, the first chapter or the first verse it says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." Well, from the looks of things, we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom of the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Boom. So, verse 15 it says, "But it shall come to pass that if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe and do all his commandments and these statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." And from 16 all the way to verse 68, it goes into the curses that we were going to have to endure. Verse 68 says that we were going to be taken via ships and sold into slavery. That's exactly what this says.
That's exactly what happened.
It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt." Egypt is synonymous for bondage or slavery, right? It says again with ships, right? Well, if we were brought from Israel to Egypt via ships and they're right next to each other, you wouldn't need ships to get to Egypt, right? If Moses and the Israelites came from Egypt to Israel via just by walking, there's no need for the ship, right? So that's why the meaning of words is very important. Egypt doesn't mean Egypt per se; it's a spiritual Egypt. If you go back in the book of Revelation, chapter 11, you know Babylon is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Sodom known for what? Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed for what?
Sins.
Yep, homosexuality, things of that nature. And then Egypt for captivity, for bondage, for slavery. Right? It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again." Meaning we weren't going to see our homeland again. Our homeland is Jerusalem. According to Galatians 4:26, Jerusalem is the mother of us all. The mother that's the place where mankind. That's where we started. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It says, "And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you," which means no man is going to redeem you. You know what I'm saying? Because we've had the Martin Luther Kings, we've had the Malcolm X's, you know, we've had Al Sharpton, everybody, but no one has actually redeemed us as a people because we're still in the state and we're still in the condition that we're in. You know what I'm saying? But it said that you were going to be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
What is it? Deuteronomy 28th chapter.
Yep. Just read the whole book of the whole chapter of Deuteronomy chapter 28, and it'll maybe get a whole breakdown of what we could have had versus what we have right now. We could have been the ruling nation. We could have we could the roles would be reversed.
Right.
If we would have stayed along the path that the Father gave us, but because we drifted and we turned from Him, put us in the condition that we're in.
They trying to say that the African kings sold us into slavery. The African kings.
Oh, they did. The actual Africans, right? Because we're not Africans, right? We're Israelites. We came, and when we migrated to the western portions of Africa, we were very intelligent, very knowledgeable people. We were architects. We had buildings. We were mathematicians, scientists, like astrologers. We was very smart people. And when we brought all these things, and then that's stated in this book as well, from Babylon to Timbuktu. It goes into the things that what type of characteristics we had as a nation of people. And the original people of that land, which were the Hamites, or the so-called Africans, right? They conspired against us with the Grecians, okay? That ruled, that they kind of worked hand in hand to try to sell us, right?
Right.
And because we didn't have any power, because it said that we would be stripped of our power, we wouldn't have any kind of might, right?
Right.
We were sold unto the Grecians via the Hamites. They sold us unto them.
They say all the nations ganged up on us.
Ooh, that's the spirit. Because look, check this out. Psalms chapter 80, 83. It says, Psalms 83, keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. It says, verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. So a tumult is an evil gathering, right? It says, for thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. So they set up a crafty council to conspire against the Israelites, right? It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So they tried to strip us from our heritage, our nationality. It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And then it goes into the nations that did so, right? So yes, they came together and they conspired against the nation of Israel. This is Jeremiah 17:4. It says, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.